is that the West Virginia skydivers, I don't know why you'd want to litigate against us. I have here for you a copy. I have one for you as well, Kelly. This is a Cabot County-owned property, and this is the FARs. This is their Federal Aviation Airman Information Manual, okay? And it tells you what can and can't happen on a public airstrip. Well, what can happen on a public airstrip is this: parachute operations over and onto airports. This is 105.23, so that you guys are clear of that, okay? What it states is, for parachute operations without an operating control tower, which we do not have, prior approval has to be obtained from the management of the airport, which is me, I'm the manager, to conduct parachute operations over the airport. That stipulates and says that absolutely you have the right to skydive here. All I have to do is say yes. I'm the manager of that airport. So you got a copy of it, so you're clear on that. Another thing I'd like to bring out is this. And excuse me, I'm just a little nervous. I've lost a lot of sleep over the last several months due to this. And I brought up this right here. But one thing, okay, let's say, I'm just curious, Jim, why Pier 1's on there, but let's say that it is on there. The reason for it, I'm wondering this. I'm guessing that you're saying you can't do there at Pier 1 because we just started yesterday the float trip down the Ohio River. I mean, are we against, pardon? Would anybody waive for 2 minutes, please? Okay, so I got older waivers. That's routing legislation. That's the way it is. So I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. I got a half an hour. Okay, everybody's waiving their time to me. Okay, so with that being said, how about this? The property is given to us to use. This is public-owned property. I want to ask you, why don't litigation start against the 4-H camp out here? Because they have the rights to go out there and use their kayaks. They get on the river right there, on the Guyandotte River, right, Chuck? I mean, you've seen them out there. Okay, these kids are out here, they're rising, using our property. Our taxpayers' dollar pays for that land, correct? So it does, and so I got to calm down. It's very upsetting too. So the kayaks, I've made some notes here on my phone. So we use that. The kids can go kayaking on the Guyandotte River. Yesterday, I had the first scheduled float trip for the Pier 1 landing in conjunction with the Robert Newland Airport, and there to put in there and ride the floats, the paddleboards down the river to my new restaurant, Pier 1 Landing. And I understand you guys have heard comment that one of the county commissioners, I won't mention no names, well, he's got the money to start a business. Why didn't he have the money to give us $200,000? Well, because you know what? I shouldn't have to give you $200,000 because I have a lease with you. And you should be honorable people. And you should own up to what your predecessors has done. But you're not doing that. And what you're doing is you're taking and breaking a lease that was given to me by the county. And you're saying, and you want to spend more of the taxpayers' dollars there. Okay, if we're going to do that, then here, let's go ahead and spend some more. Here, well, I'll just say, I got plenty of time here.
I don't think you
That's
do.
the way the legislation's ran. In the court, you just said yourself, I'll run it forward.
Yeah,
So,
but
okay, how about this? How about the litigations against the Fraternal Order of the Fraternal Order of the Police, the Sheriff's Department associations, for improvements in businesses they have done on their leased properties? Did they get permission to do so? Owned by the county? I'm just curious. Wonder if so, where's all that at? So there's that. Okay, another thing I want to bring up is this. On December the 9th of 2020, the Cabot County Commissioners sold some property, and I know that you're saying it's not irrelevant, but it is relevant because the property that you guys sold had an asset value of $1.8 million. And you guys sold it for $72,000. And to refresh your memory, just in case you've forgotten, because it's no longer on there, but I did this back in December. This was all recorded in December. And this is the property that you guys sold up there at Ona. You know what I'm talking about, I'm sure, because you guys signed off on it. So here's the property. The assessed value for the one piece was $781,000. That's one piece of property. I got several things here. Here's the other piece of property. It had an appraised value of $1 million. See, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'll be the first to admit it, but I'm pretty decent with math. And $1,700,000 equals $1.7 million that's sold for $72,000 of our taxpayers' dollars. So there's that. And now, well, let me see, I've got another thing here I'm pretty sure of. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, this is the other note stuff I get. And perhaps this will help you guys think a little bit about what we're doing here. And so, if we're really concerned about the insurance, is that what the whole thing's about, Jim? Can you tell me? Can you tell me why?
You're on the floor.
Okay. Then I'm asking you a direct question. Why are we here?
We're here to discuss the matter of a resolution authorizing litigation against West Virginia Skydivers Incorporated, Pier 1 Landing LLC, and joining
I
them
understand
from
that.
operating businesses on county property.
Can you elaborate? Because I don't understand that.
That's all we're going to vote on is what's on this agenda.
Okay, so then, with that being said, then you're not going to answer those questions. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, correct, okay. Let me ask you this. Why don't we just do away with the Camden Park, whitewater rafting in the state of West Virginia? Because users accept risks there every single day. How about we just do away with bicycle riding on our streets here locally? Because, should an accident, maybe bicycle riding should not be allowed because a cyclist could sue the county in the case of an accident. You get hurt on a county road down here, maybe we could sue you, so we should probably do away with bicycle riding. How about public pools in the case if somebody falls and slips? The county's going to come back and get sued for that, at least in the county up in Barbersville. What about playground equipment over here on the river? If a kid falls over there, can't they come back and sue you as well?
Carl, I don't want to stop you.
Okay. But my point being, with the skydivers, we all signed waivers accepting the responsibility for skydiving. And what about this? One more thought, now, Jim, and I'll let you go, but thought about one more here. In the name of tourism, our own state promotes and advocates and pushes for skydiving off of a bridge up here called Bridge Day over the New River Gorge Bridge. People jump off from that bridge every year. They get hurt. They have died. They've died there. And they're still allowed to happen. How many deaths or accidents have we had? 0. And I can tell you right now, the risk of death of injury based on base jumping is 5 to 8 times more than skydiving. But yet, the state still promotes this for the state of West Virginia. And I just don't understand why you guys are doing this to us and trying to do away with us and allowing people to come here. I guess if we were to give them more needles and more heroin, you guys would vote for that. That's the recreation that we want to give them.
Let's not
How
be
about
healthy on the river. Let's shoot up some dope.
Yeah, I mean, we're not allowed to do recreation. So the Pier 1 Landing, what has Pier 1 got to do with it? Is it the fact that hey, he's got money, he started another business, he's successful. I get out there and work hard like you did, Jim, when you were younger. I work every single day. It's not the money, okay? It's the principle to me. It is not the money, it's the principle. I have a lease with you people, and you won't honor, and you're not being honorable people. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
I will comment. For at least 6 months, we have, I think, individually said what you're doing could be considered an attraction. The airport, the skydiving, the restaurant operation. You're operating it on, and it gets to the second resolution, on a piece of property for which you pay no taxes, property taxes, minimal rent, none cash, by maintaining the airport, and I know it takes equipment to do that. Insurance that you carry, we don't feel is adequate to protect the citizens of Cabell County from lawsuits. The businesses you have started, you have not had approval from either the Cabell County Airport Authority, who would have to gotten it from the Cabell County Commission, so those businesses are operated on county property without authority. to do that. The latest one connects the airport to Pier 1. There was no prior approval of that given. And at this point, the county wants to be out of the airport business. We have, in my opinion, not the commission's, made every reasonable effort to allow you to buy that to protect your interest and the $800,000 you indicate over a period of time you put into that. The piece of property has been recently appraised with the buildings for about $600,000. There was some false information. The property itself is appraised at $270,000. It's assessed at about $160,000. We arrived at a figure of $200,000, which is what it cost the county when the airport authority, and I really think some previous commissioners wanted a place to land their own airplanes. And the property has gone up in value, some by what you did, some by the inflation and other things. We've tried to sell it to you so you could protect what you want to do it in your own way. The county would not be responsible for anything, and we have allowed our attorneys to negotiate. We haven't come up with any responses that have met the attorney's approval. We had no secret meetings to discuss what we wanted to do with it, as we were accused of. As a matter of fact, I think some of the accusers may have been part of the problem back when it started. Having said all those things, we haven't been able to transfer the property to you through the Cabell County Airport Authority. We're taking steps to get the county out of the airport and other business. You have a sizable investment, and we had hoped that through negotiations, calm conversations, not finger pointing, that we could come up with that. We haven't been able to so far, and the two resolutions will allow us to have, assuming that they are found in our favor, we will have the opportunity to move forward. It is not cut and dried that if a judge would give us this authority, it would happen the next day, the next week. But we would have the authority to then move forward, as we would like to get out of the airport business and the other business that you have the county in by starting those businesses without having approval of the airport authority, who did not get that authority from the county commission, whoever the county commission was at the time those businesses were started. And at this point, I would ask if there is a move to accept Resolution 136.
Jim, can I make one more comment?
No, sir. No, sir. No more.
Get rid of small businesses.
You can talk all you want to. You move.
I already moved and you already seconded.
I second it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Take a few words. Hello.
Kelly said she'd like to say something.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Okay, so I'm going on my third year on the county commission, as you know, and this is a problem that we've been dealing with since basically I got there. It's not a lease that I, as a realtor or as a commissioner, would have entered into the way that it was written, and I expressed my feelings at the first meeting. I told Carl face to face when he came to my office after one of the original meetings, probably 2 years ago, that I would never have counseled him to sign the lease whereby he does not just to keep his investment that he made personally. The property is not owned by a private business owner, as is Carl. It's owned by the county, and never would I have counseled him to sign such a lease without him having the opportunity to be able to keep his investment. It was terribly constructed. I'm not sure what county commissioners at the time wanted to enter into this agreement, but it was very ill-conceived. And now we have inherited this problem. Jim Morgan was not here when this lease was constructed, or the sublease. I was not there. Nancy, I believe, voted against it. But we are where we are. The county does not want to be in the airport business. The current county commissioners do not want to continue. I'd like to call it a boondoggle because of the way it was, very poorly constructed. It's not fair to the county taxpayers. It's not fair to Carl Bailey. It's not fair to really anybody. But as I stated in the first meeting, when we had this before us as a resolution to end the airport authority, and I stated very distinctly that I would not support such an effort without having first the question answered as to whether the lease and subleases are valid. And like I said before, I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor for 23 years. I deal with contracts. I deal with leases. And if a lease is valid, it must be upheld. If it's going into 15 more years, if a lease is valid, it must be honored until the lease ends. I had said, back at the first meeting, last year, that we needed to have that question answered, and maybe go to court to ascertain. Our attorneys tell us that the lease and subleases have been breached from inaction or action, and the Carl's attorneys or the other attorneys are saying, well, now we think they're valid. So we need to have that question answered, and that's why I suggested that we go have the court make a determination, a declaration, as to the validity or invalidity of the leases. And then we move forward. And that's what I have supported. Now, to answer the question about whitewater rafting and zip lining, when I was in the legislature, I do believe that Jim also was in the legislature. Excuse me, I take a drink of water. Okay, so when we were in the legislature, at least when I was in the legislature, I served on the Judiciary Committee, and we amended Chapter 20, Article 3B, and that was limited liability for whitewater rafters. They still required them to carry liability insurance. They had to pay permit fees. There had to be inspections, and there was a statutory standard of care for the limited liability of these commercial whitewater rafters and their guides. We also amended Chapter 20, Section 3A, that dealt with ski operators. We also amended the chapter dealing with zip lines and canopy touring. And I believe we also limited some liability for the Boy Scout camp. And so there have been concerted efforts from the legislature to limit liability for tourism, entities, to try to protect those to offer tourism opportunities. There is not a statute that I can see that limits the liability for those that operate skydiving entities. This is done on county-owned property. And there are insurance companies available. If you go to xinsurance.com, there is skydiving insurance available. I can give you the phone number. There is no liability insurance carried by the operations on county property on Route 2. It's available, but it's not present with the current operations that take place on county property. And as I said before, I didn't construct this horrific lease or something. It's not fair to anybody, but we're left holding the bag here, and we've got to have the best interest of the county taxpayers at hand. I want to be fair to Carl. I don't want him to lose his investment that he's made. My husband and I have gone there over the years. We enjoy, eating, seafood or whatever. But we have to come together with an agreement, with an arrangement that gets the county taxpayer off the hook, allows Carl Bailey the opportunity to protect his investment that he's made over the years. It's a wonderful place out there. A lot of people enjoy it. but we have to come to a resolution. And I would suggest that we go to the court and make that determination if the lease is valid or not. And then if it's valid, we uphold the lease and let it rot out. And it'll be somebody else that will have to deal with it at that point. If it's considered invalid, then we can go from there. So we have Carl given you opportunities through the airport authority, but they can't sell directly to an individual, that allow you to keep your investment. And I can't imagine we have received a 7,000 person petition that was given to the county commission at the last meeting. And we are $70,000 difference between what we had offered, you know, the airport authority or Laurel Bailey or Joint Escrow. I think we offered $200,000, which was well below our appraised value. The county, at that time in 1978, purchased that property undeveloped in a flood zone for $200,000 with the assistance of the West Virginia Aviation Authority. And we have offered that, even though there's an appraisal for much higher, to Mr. Bailey at $200,000. And he has come back with, I think the latest I heard through our attorney in the negotiations between the two attorneys was $130,000 offer for all of that property with all of Mr. Bailey's investments on the land. There is a $70,000 difference between the sale price. The county commission has the opportunity under statute to end the authority in one meeting. And we haven't done so because if that ends, the authority ends, so do the leases. So does Mr. Bailey's investment. And we have been trying for months to try to resolve this. And if the 7,000 petitioners would pony up $10 a piece, and I'll be the first in line to a GoFundMe account to pay the $70,000 difference, I don't think that we'll have a problem anymore. And Mr. Bailey operates this wonderful business that everybody seems to enjoy. The county taxpayers are out of it, and everybody can be happy. So you tell me where to write the $10 check.
Kelly, I would like to make one comment to you, if I could, please. I'd like to say, it's not about the money. Again, it's not about the money. It's the principle of the lease and being honorable. I'll tell you what I'm willing to do, probably against a better judgment of my lawyer, but everybody's saying $200,000. Okay, here's what I'm willing to do today, right now, in the public eye. The assessed value is $161,700. I will give you the assessed value property, but right now, we'll get you a check for $161,700. That's the appraised value from your.
Wait a minute. That's
Not me.
That's the assessed, not the appraised value.
Right, but you guys only have 50 in it because you got $150,000 grant money. So the county taxpayer dollar actually is only $50,000 that the taxpayers has actually put out.
But Jim doesn't want to hear about the taxpayers.
Yeah, right. But we just, so I'm putting it on the record, we are offering you the assessed value that.
What's
I
that?
think we're getting away from the item on the agenda.
Okay, Nancy says we're getting away,
Well, we're getting away from the item on the agenda.
Well,
And I would like to
Well,
reiterate.
you say you want to get out of the airport
I would like to
business?
reiterate what Mr. Morgan said in the beginning.
Okay.
When the commissioners speak, they're speaking on their own behalf and not what the commission thinks, because we haven't discussed it. And we do have a motion on the floor.
Well, I would like to amend the motion to take out Pier 1 and to only pertain it to the skydiving entity that exists on county property without liability, because it has no liability insurance for the skydiving operation. I don't think that Pier 1 needs to be brought into it.
Is there a second to that motion? Motion dies for the lack of a second. Then before us, we have the original resolution, as I've read 3 times now. I would say that we have allowed our attorney to conduct negotiations. You may have just shocked Mr. Scar and maybe If the attorneys would like to discuss it, they could do that, but I will call for a motion on the resolution as was read.
Now, Jim, can I make a clarification since I'm not present physically? We are voting on the resolution about the activity on the property, not necessarily the litigation to go to answer the question of the validity of the lease.
That's
Is that
right.
correct?
That's,
That's right.
that's this resolution, yes, that's correct.
Jim, are you cutting off all public comment?
Yes.
I'm cutting off comments, thank you. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Does the other commissioner abstain or vote no?
No.
Okay, 2-1, resolution passes. The next item, going back, are there any bids for the painting of the fire escape?
There are none.
Are none. Item number 2106-10-137, resolution Cabell County Commission in the matter of a resolution authorizing litigation involving the Cabell County Airport.
I move to approve the resolution.
Second?
Okay, can we speak on this as well?
I think
You
you already
can.
did, but go ahead.
Well, no, I didn't actually. I wanted, originally when this was brought before us, I had requested that it be amended, what was presented by the attorney who drafted it, that it be amended in the last paragraph, to take out the language that does away with the authority and sets in motion certain things once the court would determine the validity of the lease or invalidity. And I believe that this last paragraph keeps the clerk before the court, as I had indicated on several times. And I think we just need to resolve to file a declarative action to determine the legal status of the parties and the leases. And then after we have a ruling, then we take whatever action in accordance with that ruling. I think that we need to say, have a declaration from the courts to say whether the leases are valid or invalid. If they're deemed to be valid, then we just move forward with it and honor the leases. If they're considered invalid, then we come back to the table and make the determination as to what we're going to do, whether Mr. Bailey's going to pay the requested, or through the authority, pay the requested amount, whether it be GoFundMe, or not wrap up any more attorney fees, or whatever it is that he can raise the money for, or it would be that we put it out for public auction. And so we take that. I think that we don't need to put the cart before the horse, and you just take the action to ask the court, to see what we can do, and then go from there. So I just think it's important that our commission knows the strikes for taking action, and that we can be proactive in getting a court order that'll say exactly what we can and cannot do. So I do not like that language in the last paragraph, and I would move to have it amended.
Is there a second to Kelly's motion? Hearing none, that motion fails. Then the question before us is the item 137 in the matter of a resolution authorizing litigation involving the Cabell County Airport.
I'd like to speak on that.
Okay.
David Clark, President of the Cabell County Airport Authority. When I read that yesterday, I was kind of confused what's going on. So I called one of the airport authority members, Jim Morgan. And I said, Jim, what is the deal with this Cabell County Airport? He said, we want to bring legal action to see if the airport lease between the county commission and the airport authority is a valid lease. And I said, you talked about the sublease? No, I'm not talking about Robert Newland Incorporated, has nothing to do with it. I said, have you considered or taken any action on the offers that have been made by Robert Newland Incorporated on buying the property? The $100,000, the $120,000, the $135,000. He said, that has nothing to do with it. We're not getting into that. So basically, the way I understand it, the resolution is to take legal action against yourself. That the county commission is going to sue themselves and the airport authority, which by statute is part of the Cabell Authority or Cabell County Commission. The leases were drawn by the county attorney, Bill Watson. They were approved by the former Cabell County Commission.
2 members of the commission.
It only takes 2 to the 3.
That's right, it was approved by 2 members
You've
of the
never
commission.
voted for
I
it.
just want to make that very clear.
Okay, I appreciate that, Nancy. Nancy has never been in favor of the airport.
I've
When-
never been in favor of the contract that was done or any part of it.
Well,
And
when
I've
I've
made
asked
that,
you-
I've made that very clear all the way along.
Right, I've asked Nancy over the years, I said, Nancy, what's the problem with the airport? She said, it's not needed.
I have never had that conversation with you, David.
Yes, you
No,
have.
I have not. I've not discussed this airport. Once the vote was taken, it was done, and I've not discussed it with anybody.
Okay, but the county commission did approve, we have a 20-year lease with a 10-year extension, which was extended. So it was a 30-year lease. We're 15 years into a 30-year lease and have had no problem whatsoever. No complaints to any degree. There was some anonymous complaints filed about noise and such. They even filed with the FAA. The FAA came down and investigated. There was no problem. So the fact that you're taking taxpayers' money to sue yourself doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And if you do carry on with this, then the airport authority would like to request that the county furnish them an attorney.
I don't think the commission has any duty to furnish the authority an attorney. And the authority itself has not functioned as outlined, whether with or without knowledge. And the method, this becomes a part of the legal proceedings to determine if any of the things you've talked about, the original lease, the extension of the lease, the fact that authority wasn't given to do anything on the property at that time and changes have been made, it is my understanding that this is the legal steps necessary to do that. If the judgment is with the county, I would personally suggest that if a purchase cannot be consummated with Mr. Bailey, that a wind-down period certainly be allowed to carry out what the Robert Newland Airport has already booked, planned, and that sort of thing. I don't believe anybody wants to put Carl out of business. It's difficult to say. Sometimes Carl is his own worst enemy. I think if he had, or still yet would, sit down, discuss it, or the attorneys sit down and discuss it, we ought to be able to come out with something. Carl's got $800,000 invested there, according to him, value-wise. If he wants to let that go to public auction, fine. But at this point, the question before us, and Mr. Clark, we thank you for your comments, is the matter of the resolution authorizing litigation involving the Cabell County Airport. It's been moved and it's been seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Does the other commissioner abstain?
I may know with the way it is currently written, if my amendment had carried, I would have been in support of it. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand why someone would want to lose $800,000 investment, over $70,000, and there's so many supporters out there who could only up $10 to a GoFundMe. So, anyway, put me down for $10 for the GoFundMe if it ever comes to fruition, and I'm a no.
Thank you. 2-1, the motion passes. Nice to have you all with us. Stay if you like. The next item on the agenda is item 21-06-10-138, Campbell County Commission legislative issue nomination regarding sober living drug recovery oversight.
I'm sure that's more important.
Can you hear me? Are we on that?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay, I'm going to withdraw that item consideration. I have spoken to some legislators recently, and also the staff of the legislature, and there's going to be some changes, I believe, in the coming session that can look at that. So I'm going to withdraw that as an agenda item and not move forward at this time.
I think we have to vote to do that.
What?
I think we have to vote to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Kelly, you want to move to,
Yeah, I move to remove that as an agenda item at this juncture. I know that we had a deadline for consideration for our Association of County Commissioners to consider items for our legislative agenda for the next session, and that I put on the agenda because we needed to, I guess there's, Nancy, when is the deadline for that?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it and see.
I think it's like soon. So, and it has to have an action of local commission, I guess, to go move forward. So I'm just going to go ahead and withdraw that based upon possible changes in the coming session.
I'll second her motion to withdraw.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 The motion passes. We'll take that off the agenda. There are 3 people registered to speak from West Virginia American Water, and I, in my talking about the airport, overlooked that. Would you all, since there's not an item on the agenda, would you care to speak?
I would love to. Good morning. My name is Veronica Lewis. As you said, I'm with West Virginia American Water, and I am here today in a newly created position for the company as the Government Affairs Manager. So I am your point of contact. I have some business cards to hand out to you guys. The reason we are here today, I'm with Brooks and Jake, my colleagues to my right. We are here to build a stronger relationship with Cabell County. You know we already have a footprint here, and I would like to work on building a stronger relationship between our company and the community and discuss a few grant options we have available for you all. First up, we have the Community Giving Grant. We give up to $200,000 a year to the communities within West Virginia in which we serve. And I would like to see Cabell County maybe get more involved, have your community send in some grant requests there. And we also have a firefighting support grant. We provide financial assistance to fire departments and emergency organizations, which is another item I'd like to see you guys put in a request for. And then an environmental grant program, which we run. We gave away $10,000 in that program last year. And that is for positive impact on the environment. And I also know, of course, especially through COVID, we have all fallen on some hard times or some different times. And I have some pamphlets here about our customer assistance programs. So if you know anyone within your community who is struggling to pay their water utility bill, I have a great resource here for ways that we can help them out. We have a very generous program available to help our users. So that's me, and I'll pass that over to Jake and get you guys some information.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As Veronica said, my name is Jake Lance. I'm with West Virginia American Water. I've been with the company for about 2.5 years now. One of my duties with the company is to work with our public-private partnerships. You guys may have seen some media on the project we have out Route 2 with the Salt Rock Water PSD, where we're adding a water line to get 70 new customers, what people still call city water. And very happy to take part in those programs. What people don't know about us, they do know that we're a very big water company. We have operations in Weston, Charleston, Huntington, Oak Hill, Bluefield, Princeton as well. What a lot of people don't know is that we have wastewater operations as well. We have about 1,200 wastewater customers in the Fayetteville area. We have 2 plants, one in Fayetteville, one in the Winona area of Fayette County. And we are looking to grow that wastewater footprint. And because we've been in Huntington for a long time, I think over 100 years, we've been here for a long time. We thought this would be a great place to start in Cabell County and in Huntington. So I'm going to pass it on to Brooks, who's going to talk more about what our specific plans are, what we'd like to see happen in Cabell County. But if you have any questions about our company in general, about the specific operations that we have, and the capabilities that we have, I am more than happy to answer those questions this morning or by email or in writing if that's something you would like us to do. So I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Brooks Crystal.
Before, Brooks,
Yes, sir.
before you start,
Yes, sir. Yes.
the distinguished gentleman standing in the doorway there, Chad Nelson, does a lot of our grant work, and you may be familiar with him. If not, I'm sure he would like to have contact information from you. Anybody that's got money, we'd be delighted to ask for some. So, pardon me, Birch, go right ahead.
That's all right. I appreciate the time. I know you've got a full agenda, and I'll refrain from commenting on the airport because I've got no opinion on that matter. So I'll spare everybody my thoughts on that. Again, appreciate the time, and just want to kind of reiterate what we touched on a little bit, particularly with regards to the wastewater. I know we're here in the area, and we provided water service for quite some time. But as Jake touched on, there's not a whole lot of awareness that we also are in the wastewater industry. We bring that to the Commission's attention because we do have the ability and would be very interested in talking or partnering with the Commission on any of the public service districts that operate throughout on the wastewater side. Whether that is through helping out with, as Veronica kind of touched on, doing some grants, or with Jake is the public-private partnerships and helping line extensions to reach some of those harder-to-reach areas that might not have maybe wastewater service throughout the county. In addition, we also we acquire PSCs and systems. So we would certainly be interested in talking about any of the PSCs that provide wastewater service or water service throughout the county that would be interested in exploring that as an opportunity. It's a good opportunity for the county because the dollars from any acquisition go directly to the county commission and then can be redistributed as they see fit. And it gives the county an opportunity to maybe get out of that business to the degree they're interested in doing that, or if there's a struggling system somewhere. So again, we just really wanted to introduce ourselves. I know we've been here, but wanted to introduce ourselves on the wastewater front predominantly, and let the commission know that that's out there as an option that we'd be happy to discuss it in further detail at any point if anyone has interest in. So appreciate the time.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Is there like an inventory of, do you have the capability of having an inventory of those that in the counties that have that need? And we had requested some updated maps. I'm not sure how old the latest ones were, or what year it was, but in order to know the need in the county, it would be nice to have an updated, inventory of things in need. And I know that there's several private sewer systems that service some subdivisions like Williamsburg Colony and whatnot that are on life support. So anyway, I'll be interested to get together with you at a later time, but I just was curious about an inventory of the need, if there's an effort out there.
Absolutely, yeah, we'd be happy to have those discussions. Like I said, on the water side, we've got system maps that kind of lay out where we are now and where our lines go to. And then on the wastewater side, we don't provide any wastewater service currently in Cabell County, but we'd be certainly interested in discussing any opportunities there because, again, having the water footprint here that we do, I think, gives us a nice advantage in helping to provide excellent wastewater service as well. So, again, we'd be happy to have further those discussions at anyone's convenience.
Well, the commission doesn't have any involvement in wastewater either because we have the public service districts all around the county.
Correct.
That
correct.
do that.
Correct.
So
and the commission, I think, has oversight over the.
we simply appoint those members.
Well, exactly. And then the members have the ability to vote and make those determinations. But as the legislation's written that went into effect in June, to the degree there's a sale, for example, that those dollars go directly to, because the public service district is created for the sole purpose of providing
Right,
that.
I understand all of that.
That's why we wanted to put on the commission's radar as well.
We appreciate,
Obviously, the ARP funds are changing a lot of things
yeah.
for counties, municipalities.
Yes. She's talking about the federal America Recovery
Absolutely,
Plan
right.
money, all right? Yes, we're studying all those things, and in the meantime, grants or anything, Chad can get information, fill us in, and we appreciate it.
All right, well, thank you, appreciate it.
Appreciate your visit with us today. Now have I done everything I'm supposed to up to this point? The next item, item 139, Cabell County Commission legislative issue nomination regarding statutorily created regional jail task force. And I think this is, Kelly was interested in this one also.
Yeah, I've been working with a couple of county commissioners from different counties and having conversations, and I know there's a concerted effort with our association during the interim to try to get a handle on what's coming out of the regional jail authority with the recent increases in the per diem cost on counties for housing inmates in the regional jail. But there's another coming on the horizon is the bonds that were established to construct the regional jails throughout the state are going to be paid off in the next month. And I felt like this could be a legislative agenda item for our association to consider, to have a dialogue and a seat at the table as we move forward to, I guess what I'm wanting to do is create a task force through statute. And I have talked to a local legislator a year or so ago who was willing to draft such legislation. But it would be similar to what took place with the PEIA task force to address a great need in having a dialogue on changes in PEIA. So this would kind of be similar, and it would be a statutorily created task force that, like I said, be created by statute, that will bring stakeholders to the table to develop ways to redirect the regional jail revenue to help restrain increases to the per diem jail bills on our county. And anyway, I just think that having stakeholders brought to the table statutorily would allow us to have the opportunity to have dialogue, because I believe that unfortunately the alternative would be, absent dialogue, would be that we just pretty much are at the will and pleasure of the regional jail authority. And we know how that's played out over the years. We don't have a lot of say so in, a lot of decisions that come down from the regional jail authority. So this would just be an opportunity for us to, help create a seat at the table and have a seat at the table. So I would urge some support for that to move forward to the legislative committee and our full association. It doesn't mean that they're going to approve it or disapprove it. It just moves it forward as an item of consideration. And I know that this has been on the forefront of all the cities' minds, with this, for the increases. So I would urge adoption of this and support for it.
And I'll second it. I certainly have no problem, but I did talk to Jennifer, who's the executive director of the County Commissioners Association, and she met with some of the legislators Tuesday evening, and she said this is something that they're in the process of doing. And so she's moving forward with that in hopes that we can make that happen. So this maybe we'll just push it along.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes, since there's nobody left to object. Item number 140 is a letter from Sean Corky Hammers, Cabell County Prosecutor, regarding employment of Jessica May Sanchez Vestal as full-time assistant prosecutor.
I move to approve.
It has been moved, seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 141 is a letter from Irv Johnson, Cabell County Assessor, regarding the dog fund for May, $9.10 due.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded. Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 142 is a letter from Irv Johnson, Cabell County Assessor, creating a tax ticket for tax year 2019, Tax District 05, map parcel 12/1411, Class 2.
Move
That
to approve.
lost, stolen, or otherwise to replace. It's been moved. I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Next item, 143, is a resolution, Cabell County Commission, in the matter of pledging temporary letters of credit by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank National Association.
Move to approve.
Been moved. Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item, motion passes. All in favor, no. Next item, 144, resolution, Cabell County Commission, in the matter of pledging temporary letters of credit by West Banco Wheeling. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Next item is item 145, acceptance on bid for access control systems to Tri-State Electronics of Milton, West Virginia.
Yes, Chad and the sheriff and myself met, and reviewed all the bids. Then we met again with, Doug Tate with Alpha Technologies, and also this, Alex from Tri-State Electronics. In our first meeting, we determined that the low bid actually did meet all the criteria that we were looking for. Then we met with Doug at Alpha to make sure that, IT didn't have any major issues with anything. And in that meeting, it all went well, and Doug emailed us back that he was good to go with it. So this is accepting the low bid from those bids on the access control system that will replace the card readers in the building.
I move to approve.
Second. Kelly. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Passes. Next item, 146, is a resolution of the Cabell County Commission regarding employment for Connie Beth Carter, full-time paramedic, Ryan Isaac Carter, full-time paramedic, Bradley Keenan Chenault, full-time EMT, Nafal Omar Etcherat, full-time paramedic, Bradley Austin Creasy, full-time EMT, Trey Matthew Lee Wilcox, full-time EMT.
Move to approve.
Now, I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Next item, 147, approval Cabell County Commission regarding livability media Advantage Valley new initiative partnering with HADCO.
Did that, I'll put on the agenda to do our renewal for that livability project, and as I said before, it really, if you put in the, living in Huntington, it bolsters us up and gets away from our reputation as the opioid center, and it also gives a tool for, recruitment of businesses, and it's a partnership with some of the cities within Cabell County have done the ads, and this would just be a renewal of the same ad. It wouldn't be additional cost is under $4,000. So I would
Could we,
choose to
I,
approve this renewal.
Kelly, I talked to Dave Laving at HADCO, who said we could change the copy, and at this point, we're advertising Milton and Barbersville, and I've forgotten the other main item in that. Barbersville is going to take out a large ad of their own, I understand. I wonder if there's anything we could put in the magazine that would talk about Cabell County instead of the municipalities in Cabell County, since one of them's doing their own advertising. But
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that would be great, and I'm sure they're willing to work with us. The only thing I worry about is the deadline. We have delayed it for 2 weeks, and I don't know if they can get it put together, but if they can, that's great. I mean, as long as we're promoting Cabell County to job creators and people that are considering coming here, I'm all for it. So whatever we can do to improve that ad, I think that's great.
The thought I got from Mr. Living was that this is a sales piece for the spouses, really, of those who are interested in coming to Huntington, showing not necessarily the business aspects, but as it is called, the livability of that. And I don't know what we'd put in quite, but on the other hand, I don't think a picture of Milton, Barbersville, and the Memorial Arch, as nice as it is, and the courthouse, says much about livability. So if you, I guess you'll be back someday, but I'll talk to David and see what he thinks might be appropriate, if that's all right with you, Kelly.
Yeah, I'm back tomorrow.
Okay, all righty. Then the question before us, is there a motion?
I move to approve the renewal, have it changed. or
Yeah,
updated.
yes, I'll second that, and I think that's where we go. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I vote no.
Okay. So noted. Item number 148 is a resolution of the Campbell County Commission, County Budget Revision number 11, I guess.
Yes. This is the sheriff's tax office, law enforcement, process service, and courthouse security, moving money within those line items, and the prosecutor's office is moving money within his budget, and the assessor is moving money within his budget.
Move to approve.
I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Item number 149 is a resolution of the Cabell County Commission regarding state budget revision number 10.
This is a state revision to increase federal grants and the refunds and reimbursements revenue accounts. The grants are for the prosecuting attorney's office to increase their salary line items for the victim advocate grant and the VAWA grants, and then the sheriff's law enforcement account to increase for reimbursements on the jobs that the deputies have outside of their deputy duties.
Is there a motion?
I move.
And I'll second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. The next item, 150, is to have a motion about,
I move we go into executive session to discuss opioid litigation.
and those of you who... Okay, I believe we have returned from the executive session, and is there a motion to continue?
I move we return to regular session following an executive session where there was no action taken.
I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And if it please the commission, there seems to be two bunches of these to place on records, or are they all the same? They're all there. May we just put all those together?
I move we approve all of the additional documentation that needs to be recorded and all of the minutes that need to be recorded.
Do we need to read all these then?
Not if
No.
you do it that way.
Okay. It has been moved that the items to be recorded as presented be recorded, and the minutes. And motion has been made. I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And wherever she is in Disney World.
Is Kelly gone?
Yeah, she's gone.
Under the Commissioners' representation reports, the Association of Counties is having a meeting starting Sunday, going through Tuesday, and it will be mainly based on legislation. Because it's a crazy time for us right now, and we've got to figure out what we're gonna do to try to deal with this legislation that's really gonna affect the county's property taxes and the constitutional amendment. And so it's gonna be a really good session.
Charleston.
Yes, it's at the Embassy Suites. Governor usually comes. I don't know whether he will this time or not, but he usually comes. And we usually have the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate and various legislators that are willing to come talk to us.
A question, we set deadlines on receiving requests for hotel motel tax? Or is it just, I know we did all sorts of things through COVID of not having any money, but is there a deadline that they're supposed to be in? So if we're going to have anything to do, everybody's,
We're gonna have any money.
right, got theirs in or not?
Yes, it was, May 15th.
Okay.
Yeah, May 15th.
And we've gotten some in.
Yeah.
But we've also left people, I think, hanging out there because we didn't have any money.
Right.
And I'm not too sure we still have a whole lot.
No, but the way.
Hopefully it'll pick up.
Yeah.
We've got the soccer tournament coming in this month.
That should help the hotels.
That should help a lot. There's 42 teams starting the first day. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then, unfortunately, the rest of them are going to Kanawha County facility.
Any lost friends that we can show that we can.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting if we can get that back. That'd be one.
If you figure 42 teams and mom and dad, at least one child, all of them staying, grandmothers, grandfathers.
A lot of them bring their campers though.
Well, that's still,
We know where there's some camper spots to park.
I understand they're taking.
Well, they're usually full.
They were, yeah, when I was up there wandering around, they were.
There's somebody.
Well, we've signed everything.
We have.
But
Guess
Mike
we're-
Tatum wants to talk.
Do have, were you all okay for the Fire Chiefs Association for the chainsaws? They were put to good use today out on Heath Creek.
Did they actually have them to go out there and do that? I didn't know
Yes.
whether they had them yet or not.
what happened on here?
Had a tree fall. I got a call from a friend of mine that a tree fell blocking Heath Creek. I called dispatch. They called DOH and the fire department, and they were out there cutting a tree before I came to me.
Okay.
good thing.
Probably.
Oh, they'll want more.
Oh, yeah.
They moved on to radios now.
Bobby Bennett, you know him, don't you? He's a volunteer fireman too.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he was, because he was telling me about the chainsaws,
Uh-huh.
and he had gone